Hey guys, well, welcome to the next episode in the NZO surf build. So this time around we're going to be going through what I've done underneath with the diffs. We've been making start on these flares and also setting up suspension. Now we've been real busy underneath the vehicle, and it's predominantly what I'm going to go through. I've changed out the rear diff, done the IFS hub swap on the front, and a new set of calipers. So I'll run through all the details and what you guys can look for in your similar builds and good upgrades and whatnot. So I'm here with Luan doing the flares. Now these are something real custom. I looked online, eBay, America. I mean, the American market for these vehicles is huge, and there's a lot of options in flares and guards and everything. But I really wanted to do something a little bit outside of the normal box. So with Luan helping me out with that, we've got a really cool idea in mind of doing something completely custom, where it's not bolt-on, it's part of the car. So in the next episode, you'll see a bit more of that. I'll give you a little teaser in this. Also, we start getting into the suspension. Now, Billy from XGG has been helping me out and setting up some awesome shocks for this vehicle. So these have been custom set up for the vehicle. We'll run through that and also what we're going to be doing more and so with suspension and leaves. It's always hard to set up a leaf sprung vehicle, especially one this light. So that'll be something important to look at. And Goosey's been busy with the motor, whole bottom end's done. Over the holidays he's going to be putting the rest together, and we'll go and have a look over that, and then early next year we'll start getting that motor in. Well guys, check out the episode and we'll catch you at the end. So after a lot of research and deciding what to do best, I have made my mind up. I'm going to put the IFS rear diff in the rear and the IFS hubs up front. So basically this is an LN60. I'm going to put an LN61 housing, which is actually 3 inches wider in the rear. So about 32 mil, 33 mil each side. And then the IFS hubs in the front with Tom's Off-Road set up with the KZJ78 rotor onto the IFS hub and IFS calipers. So quite a cool idea. I was looking at the spaces they do from Australia, and it's a good idea, but the person selling this already had the setup that Tom recommended. And of course we want to stay true to the man that knows best, old Tom. Yeah mate, magic idea. I'll run through all the details on that in the video. Make sure I get it all right, gotta get the rundown from the master. But it's quite a cool idea, and makes it a lot more simplistic and straightforward for bolt-up components, and no use in need of spacers and whatnot. So let's give you an indication. That's just with nothing on negative 38 wheel, on the 33, a little bit of poke out the guard, probably 30 to 40 mil if you're lucky, legally needing to be covered. Now I did test fit a 27 mil wheel spacer. Now as you can see, a bit more out the guard. Now going to all this effort of making custom flares, I want to make it worth its while and get a decent bit of poke out the side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just jacking it up. Actually just going to roll the old diff housing out, strip it apart, get the head off, and I got the new housing in here and new axles. And actually got some spare axles too, just to make sure, because they are wider, so it's good to have spares. And we'll slip that in so that Luan can come over this weekend and mock up the flares. Right, time to get to it. Undo all the little bits and pieces. Being a leaf spring setup, that's nice and simple. Right, down she comes slowly, everything's disconnected. So here's the new housing. Now this is the main area that the difference is. So literally leaf hanger, same position. This distance between flange here and leaf seat is 110 mil on the new diff. And come over to the old diff, from inside of flange to seat, 75 mil. So you get 35 mil out each side. That's not bad. That's more than that wheel spacer was, and completely legal. Perfect. It's gonna be pretty cool. Pumping it out. Right, that diff's out. Give this housing a good clean up and go from there. So here's the old housing out. So we're going to crack the axles in the end. We're going to crack 2 of the nuts off. pop them out the end so that we can release that to get the head out, because we need the head for the new diff housing, because everything's the same except the width and axles in the new housing. So we'll keep our same ratios, same head, nothing wrong with that. Good for the petrol setup, 488s I believe. And then we'll just pinch the brake line off this, and then we'll be set. Yeah, drain the oil out as well. Geez, that has not been done in a while. So, crack the axles off each end. Now it's time to crack the bolts off the head and extract the head. Ready for the new housing. And bang, she's out. Oh, that's a bit dirty in there. It's been changed some time ago. It's a bit strange how it's got that dirty actually, because I'm pretty sure I changed it when I got the vehicle, so maybe it's just been sitting a while. I don't think it's got any water in it, because it's never really been anywhere to put water in the diff, so just goes to show you got to maintain your gear. I mean, it's still fine, nothing wrong with it, but it's just very dirty oil. So we'll clean that head up, get rid of all this, so we can make a new gasket for it. So I've been just taking this morning on a Saturday to get the new diff ready to go in. So I painted it yesterday at the workshop, Paul 15, great paint, fantastic stuff. I've used it on a few applications before, and it's nice and thick, dries completely smooth and hard and glossy. I put the original head back in with new nuts and washers, lock washers, and I've just been tidying up little bits and pieces and stuff, just scuffing up the old plates. Might need a little bit more. I'm gonna have to pull them off yet again because I want to change the leaves. Being a budget build, I'm just doing bit by bit, so I'll put the diff back in, and we can always change the leaves out at any point. Ideally, you'd like to have the leaves all ready and set up, but I've been spending money on other bits and pieces like this and motor stuff, so that will come when the time is right. I got an update from Goosey last night too. He started the motor. Oh, it started putting it back all together. It's had a full rebuild, so it's looking real cool. And we found something else really interesting about it too. It's actually bigger than we thought. Someone's honed it out, so more power. Yeah, buddy. Well, let's get this in and then bolt it up and put the axles in. See how much width we've got there. Well, this is interesting. So, you wouldn't really tell it, but the new housing OD size of the outside diameter of the axle or housing is actually 70mm, and the old is only 60. Interesting. So basically the hangers at the bottom aren't really ideal. I need to get the ones off the truck that this came off. Interesting how they made them bigger. As you can see, it just won't squeeze in. That's it. So you can't really do it up properly. Yeah, all part of the fun of making custom setups. So we've got the one axle on the side. It's all fitted up. Started fitting the brake lines too. They all mount up. The only one that seems to be different is the proportioning valve bracket. As you can see, it sort of wants to sit over there, but it's there. I'm guessing on the old housing, it's actually further over, so I will take a bit of a measure just to see that, but you can see already it's closer to the head, this one here. So, that's not a major. We'll just make a bit of a bracket. Yeah, quite a bit further over. Right, let's slip this axle in. Well, the rear diff's all in. Got to tidy up a few lines in it, bits and pieces. The brake line doesn't reach the hard line, obviously being wider on the outside, and the handbrake needs some little extension brackets. And as I said before, also the portioning valve bracket where it was mounted originally on the other diff has moved, so need to make a little bracket for this side. But as you can see, it's definitely pumped them out the side a bit. So it's 35mm each side in the diff. Then you got a negative 38 wheel. I've measured it to the outside of the tyre is roughly about 70 to 75mm. But for cert, we just need to cover here. So it looks about 55 to 60. It's definitely a wide stance. Yeah, definitely, possibly even wider. Not so much than I thought, but it's definitely, yeah, pumped it out. So we're gonna have to see how Luan can work his magic and make that look good with some sick flares. Right, now onto the front with the IFS hub setup. This will be interesting. So I've got a heavy duty bearing kit and bush kit from Train Tamer. Thanks, Amansu, you're the man. We'll go and put this all in one side at a time and rebuild the hubs that I got. Give them a freshen up, and also the oil seal on that side leaking as well, so that will be beneficial doing that at the same time anyway. Yeah, well, we'll get into that now, the front, and see how that turns out. Well, I moved the old girl outside because it's actually not too bad a day for it. And, well, I kind of want to water blast all this up first. It's a bit filthy under there, and I really want to get that backing plate off and clean it properly. And I also like to paint the CV, not so much the housing end walls, with that POR 15. It gives them a real nice thick coating and actually seals up better. I've done on a few Safaris now and the old Hilux. It works bloody well. So we're going to do that. Give it a water blast. So here's the new setup versus the old. We'll obviously see better once it comes off, but we've entered, it's the main thing. Where's a solid old piece of steel, and you can see the housing sticking out here quite a bit. It doesn't in there, and where we've got this, so it's going to be interesting to see how this all sits up. Well, let's give this a go, give it a clean up first and go from there. Well, we've done a bit of test fitting and stuff, so it's time to strip it right down now and give it a clean up. Water blast can only get so much, so and I didn't have enough degreaser to clean the whole thing. Let's go, we'll strip down the parts individually, get it right back down to the diff housing and clean everything up. While we're here, it's worth the while, especially the state of that. Ugh. Sugar, what do you think? No way. So I've stripped both sides fully down. They definitely need a big clean up. Thought I could try and get a bit of it when it was on the car, but I need to rebuild them anyway, so hasn't really been ideal with a water blaster, but getting these all ready. So this is the swivel hub housing. This, as you can see they get a bit of pitting over time and then a little bit of surface rust. So what I like to do is actually paint the balls with a POR 15 paint. It's quite thick. That's actually what the chassis is painted in as well. I painted that back in the day when it got sandblasted. As you can see on here, actually the race truck, it's a little hard to see, but see, it's black. It actually seals up a lot better. I've got a little bit of a marking there, but this is pretty old. It's been on here for a while, and it just seals up so much better. Stops the crap going inside. Gives it like a mil thick layer. So yeah, alright, we're gonna get the wire wheel on this, give it a clean up, get all that, rid of that scale and whatnot. Clean that right back, and then we'll paint them up. So this is the best way to do them. Clean them up, it's just a wire wheel, nothing too aggressive. And that will just take the main top layer off. I'll put my safety glasses on and earmuffs. Safety first, everybody. And get that all cleaned up and we'll see what it comes up like. So that's come up a heap better. There's still a little bit of pitting there, and this is where this paint comes into its own. Because it's quite thick, I mean you can sort of tell on the chassis it's quite thick paint. Probably hard to see, but that will fill in all the pitting. And that's kind of what we're after as well. Like this is smooth now, except for a very minute bit of pitting. Now this is the paint that I've got. It's actually called Rust Seal. but it's a Pour 15 paint basically. Well, Pour 15 make it as well. This is the same chemical mix, I believe. Anyway, it does the same job. So that's what we want to put on there. And then you'll see how clean and smooth it comes out. A bit like we've done previously on the racetrack one. And even the plough has that, and it makes such a difference. The mud just doesn't get in there as easily. So here's the passenger side one. So you can see it's quite a bit of build up of surface rust, and that's where the pitting starts. So it's good to get on top of them. Obviously we'll be replacing the cones for the bearings as well. We'll do that after the painting, so we don't cover the new ones in any paint. That side's not so bad, but yeah, so you just bring that all up, and then we'll basically reseal it with that paint. So there's a sort of first go over with it. It's cleaned up a good chunk of it. We'll get some wax and grease remover on here too to clean it up before we paint them. See how that comes up, and then go from there. Wicked. Time to hit the super cheap, get some wax and grease remover and degreaser. Hey guys, well I hope that was informative enough for you, but not gone on too much. If you've got any questions about the rear diff swap out or the IFS hubs and the painting of the CV balls, definitely hit us up, chuck a comment below or flip me a message. More than happy to run over in depth about that. So, the motor of the Surf. Now I've been toying back and forth about what to do exactly prior to doing this build series, but I've always wanted to do the setup. So small block 350 Chev. Going to keep it carbureted, it's going to be manual, I'm not going crazy with the power or anything like that. It's just going to be a nice, cool, historic of the era build. I'm really excited to do this. Goosey's done a heap of these before and his own vehicle, so he knows in depth about how to set these up. Billy from XGG, as I said earlier, has got these awesome shocks for the Surf. He bought these in. This is a new brand that he's bringing to market. Really cool piece of kit. So I'll run through a bit more details about these, where they've got compression rebound, damper rebound, and a heap of other goodies about these shocks that you're really going to want to know. Probably one of the next videos I'll get Billy involved and we can run through it and you can help me understand why we're going to set it up this way. That's why I also mentioned about doing the leafs properly, because if I don't do the leafs correctly and set them up, then we won't get the full extent of the shocks. And a lot of leaf spring vehicles just don't sort of get the good flex like a cool sprung would. So it's really important, and I just want to get that right. Awesome guys, well we're into 2022. I hope you guys have an awesome holidays. Catch you out on the tracks and we'll see you next year. Cheers guys.